performances for like
a world just like her own, only far, far better. An other world, where food is hot and tasty, and parents are never too busy for fun. Welcome to the enchanting worlds of Coraline. From the minds of acclaimed author Neil Gaiman and Nightmare Before Christmas director Henry Selick, this magical, twisted coming-of-age fable tells the story of a young girl learning the hard way all that glitters is not even remotely gold. At a time when computer-generated effects and superhero-sized budgets were shaking the filmmaking world to its foundation, an unlikely team of dabblers and doodlers gathered in a warehouse far from the bright lights of Hollywood. Their mission? Create stop-motion characters that look natural and real, defy all of the typical limitations of the traditional stop-motion medium, and define the look of stop-motion in the digital age.
Stop motion was interesting. You go back to when Laika started 17 years ago, and it felt like it was a technique that was preserved in amber. It hadn't really fundamentally changed in the nearly century that it had been in existence. There were small innovations along the way, but it was still basically people were making these movies the same way they were when Georges Méliès was sending rockets to the moon. And I felt like we at Laika had the opportunity to tell different types of stories using different techniques so they could be visually distinctive, but also tap into something that was really emotional, something that was thought-provoking, to tell stories that were bold and distinctive and enduring. And that really was something that I felt was missing in animation at the time.
Subtlety and the nuance and smoothness you can get shooting on ones is a whole another level. And it's beautiful. It pushes the medium to places that it's never been. You see these puppets come to life in ways that you believe they're alive. They're not puppets or dolls anymore. And that's pretty special, and I think that's what sets us apart.
right.
Just through the things that we learned and the exploring of techniques and materials on Coraline, I think it started to become a bit of a hallmark then for Laika films moving forward, that our characters would have, pretty realistic moving hair. And then the asks just got bigger and bigger. So, in Coraline, she looks under the bed and you see her hair fall down, or she shakes her head in the shower. But for the most part, other than some wind, it kind of just stays in that little bob.
Once upon a time, movies were made on film, and stop motion was used as a common special effects technique. Move an object, take a picture. Move it again, take another picture. 24 pictures gave you a single second of motion on screen. It was slow and painstaking, yes. But many famous movies used it to great success, bringing monsters, robots, and other amazing creations to life. But stop motion had never been celebrated for its subtle expressivity, especially with human faces. At such small scales, construction materials for puppets were unwieldy and hard to manipulate. Laika would need to completely reimagine the way stop-motion puppets were made. First began work on Coraline. 3D printing, or rapid prototype technology, was in its infancy, mainly used by medical device manufacturers, automobile designers, and others. But Laika saw an incredible opportunity: 3D printed replacement faces.
The rapid prototyping department is the department that builds, animates, 3D prints all of the facial performances for Laika stop motion films. It's not just animating and 3D printing out different expressions. There's a lot of engineering and problem solving and designing that goes on before a character is even ready to have their face printed.
Some championed this groundbreaking idea, others weren't so sure.
The problem was trying to first figure out, could these printers do what we wanted them to do? Were they consistent? Was the material going to warp under the lights of set? What was it going to be like with the animators handling these things? How are they going to be controlling or handling the paints? One of the things we didn't realize at the time was just how revolutionary this idea of using 3D printers for replacement animation was going to be. We quickly realized that we're a victim of the process's success because very soon one character after another started going into the RP realm when we were building facial animation for a majority of the characters on Coraline.
Laika's newly formed rapid prototyping department would eventually go on to print over 20,000 replacement faces for Coraline and generate hundreds of miniature props. But it wasn't technical wizardry alone that thrilled audiences and attracted a devoted fan base for this brave young girl and her frightening adventures. Watching the character of Coraline grow, seeing her confront the dangers of the other world, overcome her fears, and discover that her real world holds everything that's really important. These are the hidden worlds behind Coraline's secret door that make this a truly special film. This is Terry Hatcher, the voice of Coraline's mother and other mother. This has been a look inside the hidden worlds of Coraline. Crawl through your own secret tunnel and enjoy the rest of the exhibit as you discover more amazing hidden worlds from the creative minds at Laika. And lonely.
Yep, the Pink Palace Apartments. This is massive. Compare this to a human's hand or an arm. Heck, compared to me, this is taller by default. Over there on that roof. God. Oh, this is the inside.
From the minds of acclaimed author Neil Gaiman and Nightmare
This
Before
is the
Christmas
thing at the
director
beginning of the
Selick.
movie.
This magical, twisted coming-of-age fable tells the story of a young girl learning the hard way all that glitters is not even remotely gold.
This is when
At a time when computer
This is when Coraline
generators and
fell down the
superhero
stairs.
science
Well, actually
were
broke
shaking
it.
the filmmaking world to its
due to
foundation.
how
An unlikely team of
she was
dabbers
trying to
and
get
doers gathered in
Babinski's
awareness
mice.
from the bright lights of Hollywood.
This
Their
is
mission,
amazing.
create stop-motion characters that
How
look
did they
natural
repair
and
this?
real.
I can kind of
Defy
tell
all of the typical
how they repaired
limitations of the
this
traditional stop-motion
after they
medium,
broke the stairs,
and
but
define
still,
the
this
look
is
of
incredible
stop-motion in the
that they
digital
repaired
age.
it so fast.
Stop motion was interesting. You go back to when I started 17 years ago, and it
Is
felt like
everything
it was
faded?
a technique that was preserved in Amber. It
Up the
hadn't
stairs
really
and
fundamentally
into the door.
changed in the nearly century that it had been.
This is the
There
Pink
were
Palace
there were small
Apartments
innovations
from
along the way,
Coraline.
but it was still basically people.
So every time you move the puppet, it takes two pictures. It looks nice.
Faces.
Subtlety.
Nothing but faces.
And smoothness you can get shooting on ones is a whole nother level. And it's beautiful. It pushes the
Here
medium
is Mal Jones and Charlie Jones.
come to life in ways
Both there.
you believe they're alive and not puppets at all.
Here's some of the concept work.
I think that's what sets us apart.
The things that we learned and the exploring
And like I said, the faces.
materials. Coraline. I think it sort of become a bit of a hallmark then for like films moving forward that are characters.
For Coraline, Laika pioneered the use of 3D printing technology and replacement animation, allowing animators to create groundbreaking performances. Previously sculpted facial expressions used a few hundred hand-sculpted faces. By contrast, there were 207,336 possible face combinations for Coraline and 70,633 for Coraline's mom. This is cool.
For a majority of the characters on Coraline.
Laika's newly formed rapid prototyping department would eventually go on to print over 20,000 replacement faces for Coraline and generate hundreds of miniature props. But it wasn't technical wizardry alone that thrilled audiences and attracted a devoted fan base for this brave young girl and her frightening adventures. Watching the character of Coraline grow, seeing her confront the dangers of the other world, overcome her fears, and discover that her real world holds everything that's really important. These are the hidden worlds behind Coraline's secret door could make this a truly special film. This is Terry Hatcher, the voice of Coraline's mother.
Opportunity to tell different types of stories using different techniques so they can be visually distinctive.
Here's everything else. Be careful what she was for. Some concept art. Newt X for stop motion. Coraline was the first ever stop motion animated feature to be conceived and photographed in 3D. Coraline was also the first stop motion film to integrate visual effects and 3D printed rapid prototype technology into traditional sub-frame production. The photographic process requires shooting two simultaneous pictures where each frame, the left eye angle and the right eye angle, using the same camera. Here's the other Wybie, the ghost boy, the tunnel ghost girl, and the sweet ghost girl. If we look here, we have the boy eating his ice cream happily. The fireplace. We have a little hatchet here. Alright, so now here is the garden. Oof. Wonder what happened there. Must have been the other father. Oh well. This is the concept art, Mom. So here's the other mother, the father's art concepts. Here's garden, like I said. Yep, that's maybe about it. See you, Coraline. Just walking through. Walking through. Walking through. Walking through. Now we're flying through this area. And wow.
I'm sorry.
It's fun. This is the garden. This is huger than my own head, guys. To craft a puppet from scratch takes 3 to 4 months, not including design and testing time. For ParaNorman, 60 puppet makers created 178 puppets for 61 characters. 14 replacement features required 4 3D printers, working constantly for 572 days, about a year and a half.
And that is a very long travel. That's really we're trying to figure out how to go. Are we gonna come up through the set? Or actually take the Forest Bridge?
Cool.
We're able to come up over the top of the neighborhood.
Cool though.
Come in with the arm and then drop in.
Crazy, disgusting,
Being
McCool's
able
might say.
to work and put something up there on the screen is beautiful. I mean, it feels great.
What happened here? Oh boy.
far the most ambitious thing ever done at the time.
Oh my gosh, I think I'm having an aneurysm. Oh, this is so typical of you. No, you don't understand. I'm the only one who can stop this, Courtney. Oh, I understand. I understand that this is all getting completely out of hand.
One of the biggest sequences in an animated film was the section where the zombies emerge from the ground and come to life for the first time. As a huge George Romero fan, that was a dream come true to actually animate zombies. It was something that I was so delighted to be able to do. But there are a number of zombie characters. You don't want to feel like you're pulling from the same bag of tricks where they all move the same way. So based on their designs, you had to come up with different ways of locomotion, how they would move, how they would shift their weight. If something is this big hulking mass with these spindly legs, how would it actually move? How would it shamble across the ground? I remember just trying to come up with a unique way of moving for every single one of them.
Not only was Travis, CEO of Laika and also producing this movie along with me, he was animating as well. He was lead animator, and he was meticulous in that animation. So every effects animation he did himself. So that means every spittle, every lake of dirt, all that kind of atmos. The fact that he did every part of that was really his sequence. He owned that sequence inside and out. That was pretty notable that he animated literally 10% of the movie.
Once upon a time, in a far off, once upon, it's not working!
By now, color 3D printing had arrived and was pushing the art and science of replacement face technology quantum leaps forward.
So after Coraline, there was really a deep dive into trying to figure out how we could shift our entire workflow and find a printer that would print in color. And there was one color printer out there. It had just had a new black material that they had just released that allowed for some more contrast and deeper, darker colors. So we started doing tests for ParaNorman. And that was probably one of the more nerve-wracking times of my career at Laika, because we had basically, from the top studio executives down, everyone was 100% on board with moving to color printing because they all agreed that it was the next big thing.
Awesome! Laika needed to find ways of breaking with tradition and giving their films more cinematic punch. They began to lean heavily on early visual development, finding ways to ground their more challenging visual effects in the look of handmade physical objects. This allowed physical construction teams and digital effects teams to work from the same visual starting points, bringing a cohesive look to all the elements of the finished film. They applied the same approach to puppets, providing real handmade puppets to the digital animation team, who replicated them digitally.
A digital element for a Laika film in a vacuum. If it's a background character that is wearing a certain type of wardrobe, we're going to get designs from the same character designer that did all the work for all the puppets. When we build digital background characters, we will have our digital riggers that can do anything with a digital character work closely with the rigging team that is putting together the internal armatures or the skeletons for those puppets so that we can build in the same limitations. And then when we bring those performances to life, our animation supervisor is working directly with the stage animation supervisor to make sure that we're doing the same things that the stage animators are doing with puppets.
Many of the same cinematic tricks that had given traditional stop motion its handmade charm were now becoming obstacles to Laika's new vision. ParaNorman's sweeping scenic vistas, for instance, its angry torch-wielding mobs, electric storms, and monsters could not be easily filmed using traditional methods.
There's always complications. Norma's walking to school, and he's seeing all the spirits, and he's walking through the neighborhood, and that is a very long traveling shot. I can remember being in that breakdown meeting. We're trying to figure out how to go. Are we gonna come up through the set? We're actually able to take these large rigs. We're able to come up over the top of the neighborhood, come in with the arm, and then drop in. It's inspiring. Being able to work and put something up there on the screen that is a beautiful image. I mean, it feels great.
As you were, stranger.
Sir, yes, sir.
Yo, Norman, you playing hooky?
No, I'm just late for school. Sorry, I gotta go. What are you doing?
Hey, how you do?
Wasn't hanging. Oh, haven't heard that one before. Yeah.
Laika was also beginning to find its own unique storytelling voice, highlighting a desire to promote inclusivity.
The more intimate you make something, the more personal you make something, the more universal it becomes. Chris Butler, the writer and director of ParaNorman, he was telling a really deeply personal story about his own life, about his own upbringing, and he just put on these layers of metaphor and you use genre to that effect, and it kind of disguises what ultimately he's saying, but it comes through. It's really powerful.
Much like his title character, ParaNorman's writer-director Chris Butler was born with a secret he was reluctant to share.
A lot of that movie is about gay. And ParaNorman was the first mainstream animated movie to have a gay character in it.
Revealed at the end of the film with a matter-of-fact pride and candor, the news that Hunky Mitch actually has a boyfriend spoke to the confidence Butler now felt in his story's characters and in his own personal life.
So I was thinking, to movie sometime. Nothing scary.
That sounds great. You're gonna love my boyfriend. He's like a total chicken flick nut.
But it was Norman who spoke most acutely to the pain and loneliness Butler had felt growing up in an often...
Being the first ever animated movie to be nominated for a GLAAD Award was incredible for me, because being a gay man, being able to do something that matters in a medium that doesn't need to matter. It can just be light, frivolous entertainment, but to go that extra step and to create something meaningful, it meant a lot to me. So much has changed in the 10 years since then. When you look at animation on TV in particular, on streaming in particular, but it's gratifying to think that we were pushing. It's because people are pushing, it's because people are trying to move things forward, that things do ultimately move forward.
And together with the entire Laika team, directors Chris Butler and Sam Fell crafted a zany zombie comedy that is so much more than the sum of its parts, and that all adds up to a wholly distinctive style of filmmaking that can only come from one place. We hope you have enjoyed peering through the veil into the hidden worlds of ParaNorman. Enjoy the rest of the exhibit as you discover more amazing hidden worlds from the creative minds at Laika.